Othello on the bellow on the bellow. Othello on the bellow on the bellow.
Yeah, the real shop talk. Just come and take a listen. Some grown men with unbiased and honest opinions, and with no agendas, so you just gotta check it. Talking love and life from a male perspective. We keep it authentic, real, no filter. Leave a comment, be part of the show. We here to give you 5 gentlemen's views about manhood, no doubt. This the show you've been needing, yeah, it's the Real Shop Talk. Let's go.
What's up, everyone? It's your boy Tony Massey. Welcome back to the Real Shop Talk. It is Monday night, 8 p.m. on the East Coast, 5 p.m. on the West. That means it's time for us to get it started. Tonight, we have an absolutely amazing show on a topic that I think is going to spark a lot of conversation. So if you're watching this broadcast, and that means you probably know somebody who should be watching it too. So make sure you share, make sure you hit the like button, and go ahead and get comfortable, because this one's going to be a doozy. So first things first, let's go ahead and introduce the men of the Real Shop Talk, starting this way. I'm learning to just point the opposite. Starting this way.
You're learning, right? You're learning for sure. What's up, guys? I am Gunter Man. I'm the host of the Gunter Man Show. Yes, I'm off for this month, but starting back in June, I'm back live every Thursday night at 7:30 at Instagram Live at Rick Hoven Gunter Jr. Right there. I'm also a relationship with self-life coach. So I take you on a wonderful journey to find out your truth and how to operate from that truth. So passing it down right there to Tony Watts. What's up, baby?
Hey, what's up, people? Glad to be here one more time to have this amazing discussion. I'm glad we brought up the topic. I'm Tony Watts, host of Triumphant TV, where we talk about everything from relationships to community building. Please check us out every Saturday night, 8 o'clock. We're here to just do some things. So I'm going to just toss it back up to my man, T. Massey, so we can get this thing rolling.
All right, then, of course, shout out to John Singletary, who just had a monumental life milestone. He just retired from military service. So, of course, we thank him for his service. We're letting him rejuvenate, relax, get adjusted to civilian life, and then he'll be back here pretty soon. So before we get started, again, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Trying to get these numbers up, trying to get this really good content out there and get that algorithm leaning towards our way so we can offset some of the noise that's out there. So tonight, gentlemen, we are talking about security. Specifically, what does it look like when a man provides security? We know that we've already been told that it's one of the things that a man should provide in a relationship, whether it be a long-term girlfriend, boyfriend thing, or even marriage. But we want to go specifically into what exactly does that look like? What does it look like when a man is providing security in his relationship? So let's start off with this question. Now, we know physical security, and we're going to talk about physical security, but we know physical security is part of it. A woman should feel physically safe in her person when she's with her man, or if she's in a relationship with a man. So we know men are supposed to provide physical security, but what other forms of security should or can a man provide? What say you?
My mind instantly talks about or thinks about letting someone know, or let the woman know that she's valued. That is one of the paramount things, that your life matters. Your life matters not simply just to the community, but your life matters to me. And being able to not only just lead you as the man, but is to also let you know that I'm here for you also. I'm here to guide and direct, and to also be led by you at times. That's a powerful thing. To be in charge has to know when to delegate the power, when to say, hey, you need to run that, because you're much, much better than that in that category than I am. So the first thing that pops in my mind as far as security is the sense of being valued, being able to have the person come away knowing and feeling that they're truly valued in the relationship.
I think things that should definitely carry out of this conversation.
You're popping, Tony. You're going in and out.
The, and get to
Now you're muted.
If I unmute myself, that might be better too.
There you go. There you go.
So let's do the two things. I think it is very important to provide honest, open communication and consistency. I think those two things are the things that will bring security for anybody, any human being, and especially a woman. If you're honest and she knows that you're honest, she knows that you're not going to lie to her on any circumstances, that you're open with her from the gate. I think that she could feel you could be trustworthy, right? So if you can do that and you're always consistent in what you say that you're going to do, you do it. Then that's another thing that she can feel comfortable with, because she doesn't have to worry about, well, he said he's going to do it, but is he going to do it? Is he going to mess up and not do it? So that gives her security as well. So, I'll pass it up to you if you got anything else.
Yeah, I agree with both of that, and I want to make sure that we're not monopolizing the conversation, because of course we're talking about what does it look like. I'd like to hear from some of the ladies that are joining us tonight. So in the comments for you, ladies, what does or gentlemen, what does security look like? So I agree with both of you. And there's also other forms of security, like financial security, right? I know for me, I can be very progressive, but also very traditionalist in my approach. I do believe that it is a man's responsibility to provide financial security to his home. Does that mean he pays all the bills? Not necessarily. It depends on the couple. But I do think that it means that he does everything in his power to remain financially stable, and that he's a good steward of his finances. That means that she's not worried. Is he going to bring his paycheck home? Is he going to blow money on things that are not within the budget or within the goals that the family has set? So we're saving for a vacation and he comes home with a big screen TV because it's the playoffs. You know what I mean? So that goes along with consistency and honesty and trust. But I think that you don't have to make six figures, as long as you're bringing all the figures you make home, to the family, and allow you guys to just kind of lean into that, whatever your financial situation is. I think that's a huge part of it as well. Is it appropriate for a woman to provide security for her man, or is this something that only men should be doing?
Well, if it don't go both ways, it's not a real relationship. So, and that goes across the board. Like, there has to be some type of. I have to feel secure with you. I have to feel secure that you are. How can I say this the best way possible? That you are the representative of yourself that you show me, right? I can't all of a sudden there's your friend posts something on Instagram with you shaking your tail feather in a situation where you told me you were somewhere else. Like that, we can't have that. Or if you say you're an avid reader and then what books have you read? I haven't read in 2 years. Like there's a security that men need to have as well. So I think the security thing goes both ways. And I'm just going to say this off top, as the kids say. I'm going to say this off top. There is everything a man wants and a woman. It's the same thing. We want the same things, right? But we're making we're having these conversations to let you know what we want and what we think you want. So if, like we said before, if you need to jump in the comments and help us out with what we're talking about, then that's great. But I think it goes both ways. If you can't offer me a security that I am secure in myself, that I'm secure in the woman that I'm with, or I'm secure with, say my daughters, right? I have to be secure in the way they move out in the world. Like somebody can't come to me and say, "Oh, I seen your daughter's doing this," and I'll be like, "Nah, that's not her character." I might ask her, such and such said blah 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 blah, and she has an opportunity to be honest to say, "Yeah, Dad, I did do that," or "No, Dad, that wasn't me." And that's another form of security. This honesty thing goes a long way. You go a long way with being honest with somebody. I'm gonna land right there.
I think men also need the security. Like we need to get the feeling that like we'll get the support. Like you'll point out our blind spots. You'll not just pander to us as, oh yes, you know, some guys, I don't know how they get that to be that alpha male type of mindset where I want my woman just to be submissive and thinking that that's going to find them or get them to feel and realize what real love feels like. A guy having security from his girl is being able to say, like she's watching him so closely that she can point out, baby, you're messing up there. You're going down the wrong. You told me this. If this is your dream, why are you doing that? And you got to be able to be brave enough to say, I'm looking at your blind spots. Maybe you're not looking at that correctly. And I know for myself that speaks volumes, that you have an interest, you have a genuine interest in the things that I'm a part of. And that you're, even though it might not be similar to what you're doing, that you will spend time watching so you can point out to me where I need to step up or what I can do differently, maybe even what I can do better. For myself, I know that security comes from my woman. I need that type of security. Oh, you busy texting, so let me keep on going.
No, I'm good. I was
you
just
know me. You ain't
I know.
Too long. Don't be pausing, because I'll keep on going.
No, I definitely agree, and I think that a woman can provide a lot of security, and I'll be, I'll share with how my wife makes me feel secure. One, I know that my wife is where she says she was going to be. She's doing what she says she was going to do, and she has proven that I don't have to worry about people being interested in her, because she understands what the optics look like. And I think that's very important. And it's something that we both have become very aware of, that it doesn't matter what my intent is. If there's a perception out there that she's disrespecting me, or that I'm entertaining of the women, or whatever the case may be, that even though we're supposed to not care about what people think, it does start to create divisiveness in the relationship, because I don't want to look like I'm just allowing my wife to be out here, doing all kind of things. So that's a way that she provides security to me, because mentally, I think for a lot of men, we are very vulnerable when it comes to, our mental health, because we just don't have as many outlets to talk to, especially not healthy ones. I tell this story all the time. When I got divorced before, for my ex, all her friends came over and they, poured wine and champagne and talked and just built her up. My friends took me to the strip club, which was not good for me at all. You know what I mean? But now I'm blessed to be in a situation where, she protects my mental space by not allowing anything to be perceived that she's doing something she's not supposed to do. The other thing is I have PTSD. And so, there are times where that presents itself. And instead of being afraid or being judgmental or being, or shaming me, she gives me a safe space for my innermost thoughts and feelings. And I can work it out without feeling like I'm less than a man, because I shared this vulnerability. So my vulnerability has never been weaponized in this relationship. And for that, I feel secure, and it helps with the healing process, because now I feel like I can move forward and not have to hide this part of me from her, because anything that's hidden can't be addressed. Right. So let's go back to, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, but it will come out. All that you're dealing with will come out somewhere along the line. It needs outlets. It's energy. It's going to come out somewhere. So you being a military man, and you've gone through such traumatic situations, that you got to feel safe that you can be yourself. And with this, remember, what makes a good friend feel so connected to you is that they know all your mess up, your uckiness, all your uckiness, and still want to hang out with you. know all the yuckiness about you, but still want to hang with you, still want to show up for you, still want to check in on you, still want to spend time with you. That's that want. So when you're looking for that partner, you want to be able to release all that stuff, and you both can deal with it together. One of the greatest things when it comes to security for a man is, or for man and woman, is being able to remove the I and the me's from the conversation and speak about we and us. You understand me? That is some real security. Being able to speak from a place of we and us instead of reacting from an I and me. We and us means that I'm paying attention. I have my preferences, but I also understand you're a different human being. Since you're a different human being, you're going to respond, you're going to prefer, you're going to need to address, you're going to deal with situations differently. So before you blow up, you got to be like, does that make her comfortable? Does that make him comfortable? Let's have a discussion. That's what it always comes down. Let's have a discussion. It should always end with, you're having this situation coming up. Let's have a discussion. Because communication is the foundation to the relationship growing, to the relationship flourishing, from the relationship being real, where neither person is not removing themselves from the relationship because they rather just serve the other person because they can't really tell what's on their mind. They really can't deal with it. They can't be themselves with the other person, but they love the other person. So they just find themselves just working for them, always doing stuff for them, instead of keeping themselves in a relationship. Hey, if I'm dealing with this stuff about you, you got to deal with stuff about me. What works for me, you need to work with and understand both. There has to be give and take. That's definitely security.
So I'd like to point out or take a look at this comment from Varushka. Thank you, Varushka, for making this comment, because I think it's really important and I like to discuss it. She says, yes, but and I'm thinking this is the question. This is the answer to the question: can a woman provide security for her man? She says, yes, but a lot of men can't handle their woman as their accountability partner. Is that true, gentlemen? And if so, why? And if so, if it's not, why not?
Okay.
And before you answer, Varushka, we're not attacking your question or your belief. We're just using your question as a speaking point. We may disagree, we may agree, but that does not mean we do not value your input. Just want to make that clear. Because Varushka didn't volunteer to be a part of the show like this. Go ahead, Tony.
Absolutely not. And so I'm glad you put that out there, because I was about to say the same thing. What we have to do is, what I think it's important for us to do across the board is what I've learned to do is say from my experience, right? Because when you say a lot and you're in an environment where there's multiple people there, you make them think that they're part of that particular statement that you're making. And I know the two gentlemen on this panel would love for their women to hold them accountable. Tony just talked about holding accountable. Rick, in his relationships, he wants to be held accountable. I can name 5 other gentlemen off the top of my head that want their woman to hold them accountable and are looking forward to them doing that. So your perspective right now is skewed from my perspective, because I know men who want what you're saying. A lot of men do not. So the way we word things is very important. I'm not saying your experience is different. I'm saying we have to departmentalize your experience to say, in my experience, the people I've dealt with do not really like accountability. And then we can attack it from that particular standpoint, because the men that I know, right, want to be held accountable. They really want to be held accountable. And if a man doesn't want to be held accountable and you're in a relationship with him, I think that's a pause to ask, what's wrong? What happened to you that you don't trust me, that I have your best interest at heart? That's a hard conversation, because some people have been through things where they think they can't trust people. Because, like, okay, let's take this to the church, right? If everybody in church kind of talked down to you because you were the younger person, and all the leaders made you feel like you couldn't speak. You know how we always say a child should be heard and not seen? If you grow up in that environment, so anything that you did throughout your life, oh, that boy ain't nothing, that boy ain't this, you can't do nothing right. Your accountability now sounds like an attack. So let's deal with why you can't. What do you think that I'm trying to do to you? You think I'm trying to hurt you, or do you think I'm trying to help you? And once you get down to the core of what that need is, I believe you can get that man to open up and say, okay, she's not trying to hurt me. She's not attacking me. She is trying to see what's best for me, so I can loosen up and give her that part of my vulnerability. I'll land right there.
I think when you're talking to men who have done the work to be able to accept someone's criticism or input or guidance or advice or real talk, sometimes it's like sometimes it just got to come out. I'm not trying to disrespect you, but I'm just going to say it the way I feel it in that particular moment. So yes, I can understand where she's talking about a lot of men, because when you say a lot, all I do is think about that men are not taught, at least not in my generation, to say what's on their mind, to actually feel vulnerable and share the ups and downs, the hurts, the fears, the insecurities. We don't have a platform for that. We don't have a place and space for that. We do now, but back when I was growing up, we didn't have that. Boys do not cry. That's the common thing. Boys don't cry. Man up, right? Man up, like don't deal with what I'm feeling with. What do you mean? Boys go outside and play. I've talked about these things, guys. Boys go outside and play. Girls stay home and play house. So boys are outside. Everything for them is a competition. Everything's a competition. So now when they get to relationships, it's a competition. It's a competition. So how do you now allow someone in to tell you what they see in you that might not agree with the way you see things? How someone's going to tell you how you're showing up. Man might have a hard time with that. A guy may have a hard time with that, because to our boys, when we're hanging out with them, our boys are not talking about the things that we're doing wrong. A lot of times our boys are kind of like cheering us on when we're doing right behind the scenes, like, yeah, go ahead, do your thing, get yours. Nah. Now we are at that age where we have done the work. So all of us are speaking from that place. So let's remove that place and think about when we were younger. Could we get those words? Could we allow that person? And probably back then, no. Because we could be so set in we are brilliant already. I already see so much. I already understand so much. How are you going to point out an angle that I'm not already seeing? What? So because we did the work, we can see that way of thinking is not profiting us. We know that there are no self-made millionaires. We need people to be in our business to help us to reach new heights. That's the truth of it. I don't care who you are. You want to be held accountable. Because if I have the freedom to say what I want and then I can act willy-nilly, the woman will never respect me. The woman will never respect me. But if she catch me and forces me, this is what you said, why are you not following through? Boy, that might feel uncomfortable in the moment. It might feel uncomfortable in the moment, but that will warm my heart. Correct me, baby. Correct me. It ain't easy. Am I going to always respond the best way? No, but I'd rather you correct me and let me deal with it. If I mishandle it, how you pass it to me, I'll come back. Trust me, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back and say, hey, babe, I gave it some thought. I should not have responded that way. This XYZ, ZYX, because men we haven't practiced this saying the stuff that's on our mind or loving someone so dearly that if they don't treat us right and we have to deal with the hurt, we don't have an outlet for it. Come on, think about someone that you really, really cared for, but they mishandled you and treated you poorly. And how do you not take that from past relationships and drag that into the new relationship and speak with not that little bit of anger or feeling of hurt? Because if it looks like a duck, it's spotting like a duck, and you're soon to react. Just say, but the new girl is not the old girl. The new person deserves the opportunity to mess up and for you to speak from that perspective, not as if she's one of the people that treated you poorly. Grace.
Let me just jump in real quick. I'd like to go back to Mrs. Daniel Drew's comment about communication and comprehension, because what we're talking about is we're communicating that you need to be held accountable for what you're doing, but I can't comprehend it. I can't wrap my mind around, why are you talking to me like this? Why are you telling me I'm wrong? Why are you telling me I have a fault? Everybody else in the world has told me I have a fault. Not you. You're not supposed to tell me I have a fault, right? So the comprehension part, and I love the comment, is key. And the only way you can get there is having honest communication. It has to be, and please don't have these conversations when, right, that you're angry with each other. Have these conversations when the times are nice, when the times are great, because it's more easily to be accepted in that space. Hey, babe, the other day, blah, 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 blah. Did you mean to do that? This is how that made me feel. Oh, really? Oh, I had no idea. In the past, when people did that to me, this is how I reacted. I'm sorry. I had this particular. That's how the dialogue has to go. But she's absolutely right. It's the comprehension. Because if I'm not comprehending that you care about me, or that you're not trying to throw darts at me, you're trying to give me building blocks to be stronger, I'm going to react in a threatening way. So fantastic.
You just struck a chord with me, Tony Watts, because you just reminded me that sometimes women will attack a man's manhood, the cultural manhood, meaning that, oh, that little thing bothered you? Ooh, come on now. Every single one of us guys can register with that one. Oh, that little thing bothered you? Woo! How dare you? If there's things in your life that matter to you and register at a certain level of importance, how dare you attack and say, like, I'm less of a man because I let that situation bother you? Ooh.
And real quick, it has to be the same way for women, right? We say certain things. Why are you wearing that dress? Why are you talking to that guy? Why are you staying late at work, right? Now we're putting them in compromising situations in our minds that they're not even thinking of doing. So the same way we feel attacked, they have to feel the same way. And the way to get to, so on this particular topic that we're on, and I'm just going to land the plane here, you have to have open and honest communication so the other person is not feeling insecure about what you're saying. That's the building block of security from that angle, from communication and comprehension. Thanks. Landon McClay.
Absolutely. The most dangerous place to exist is in the imagination of a hurt person. Because it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you say. They're speaking from their place of hurt. And when that imagination, and I've been there, man, like, you didn't answer the phone. In my mind, you are with some other dude, maybe 2 or 3, and my imagination just goes. And it's all from a place of hurt. It's all from my untreated, undiagnosed, unrecognized trauma. And now I'm putting that on you. And when it comes to accountability, there's a lot of fear tied to accountability too, because we especially as men, we want to be the solution. That's how we gain respect. And I think we all agree that when it comes to love versus respect, I'll take respect over love, because respect is how love is communicated to me. You know what I mean? I don't need a hug. I need your respect. Now sometimes I do need a hug, but respect is how we're taught to receive love. And so to submit to your accountability for some men means that I'm showing how flawed I am. And I fear that through these flaws, you may start to lose respect for me, which translates to you start to not love me anymore. And so it's hard for me to submit to you being my accountability partner, because as you point out my flaws, are you keeping record? Are you remembering who I am not? And then my fear is, are you going to meet someone whose those flaws don't exist? And at the end of the day, you have to mature to a point where you realize there is no perfect partner, not at all. And if you find the perfect partner, you're going to ruin the relationship with your imperfections, right? But when it comes to that accountability, I had to learn to be accountable to my wife. And I thought that all I had to do was the right thing, but there was so much more to it than that. You know, I had to check my ego. I had to recognize my trauma. I mean, I'll never forget, I know she's going to get tired of me telling our business, but I remember getting into an argument with her, and the argument was from a place of fear because of my fear of abandonment, because of some issues that I had with my father, you know, years ago. And she recognized it and said, you know what, this isn't about me. And I know I've told this story before, but that accountability, it allows me to pause and remember this person is not here to hurt me, you know, and so I can submit to, I can allow myself to be accountable to her. But that took time. And so for those of you who are struggling with this, or struggling to find someone who is willing to do things like this, understand this was not an overnight thing. And like Rick said, I did the work. This is a result of a lot of therapy, a lot of therapy. And so, you know, those things go together. So I want to make a small pivot, because I think what Rick brought up and what we're talking about is relevant. I think I shared with you guys that I heard in a Clubhouse room that women feel less secure with men who openly show their emotions. So men who cry, women are not able to feel as secure with a man who cries or who shows his emotions openly. Do you guys agree with that? If so, why? If not, why not?
So I like how Rick put this earlier. Let's go from a maturity standpoint, right? I would have believed this wholeheartedly 30 years ago, right? It would have been a wholehearted thing that I would believe, right? Now that I know women who are looking for men to be vulnerable, I know that's, you know, that depends on the individual, and the individual has done the work. But I'm gonna pause for a second and say something. Respect me all you want. My love language is touch. Hug me, damn it. Hug me, damn it. But yeah, getting back on topic. So, and that goes back to that cultural thing that one of the reasons why we built Real Shop Talk is that letting women know that you have to understand the strength in a man being vulnerable in front of you and crying, right? There's strength in that he can express that particular part of his emotions to be able to express to you. So if you have any mindset of a man should not be expressing yourself that way, kind of look deeper into yourself to realize you are cutting off some of the man's humanity as an emotional being. We talked about this before. I heard a tick on, I don't know if it was a TikTok or there was a YouTube channel. One of as Tony said, the young pups trying to talk about relationships, and the woman in the relationship the woman was talking about, would you take your guy friend, like if Rick was sick and he lived in my neighborhood, would I take him soup? And they was like, oh, if you do that, that's gay. And I was like, whoa, time out. How is that gay when he's my friend? He needs something that he can't go out and get, but I can get it to him. It was like 6 or 7 women in the room co-signing that, yes, men should not be doing that. And I was like, no. I was like, no, that's false. If you as a woman can go support your girlfriend, why can't I support my man without it having to be some type of relationship issue with that? Like, so I think it's a level of understanding that men are human, right? And to have a full relationship, I need to be able to explore all of those things. Like over this year, as we built this bond, we've all gone through things, and we've all reached out to support each other. How does it look for me not to reach out and support you? I can't say I'm your friend. hey, I broke my leg, and my leg healed 6 months later, but nobody called to say how's your leg feel. So we have to understand that it's important to allow men to exercise every emotion that they know. I'll learn right there.
Just to be clear, and I'll let you go ahead, Rick. If you go to your friend's house and bring him soup, that doesn't make you gay. If you go to your friend's house, bring him soup, and y'all have sex, that makes you gay. Just making that very clear.
No, I was gonna defer to you. I said, I know you got something to say, Massey, so say it. That's all I was gonna tap. I was tapping in just to say, let it loose, Massey, let it loose. That's all I was gonna say.
We just have to stop this, and you know, this is the thing that we have to stop defining masculinity purely by behavior. That's not what masculinity is, you know. And as we evolve as men, and we are, you know, and we mature and allow ourselves to tap into our emotions, all of these tropes of manhood start to fall away. Because here's the thing, and my wife has said this before, I'll take a man who cries over a man who never cries, because that's all that pressure is gonna come out, right? And we wonder why, you know, these men who are under immense emotional stress and have no outlet for it, the smallest infraction is that proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back, and when it comes out, it's uncontrollable. And so everyone gets hurt because of this man's repressed feelings. And since anger is the only acceptable emotion that our society allows men to feel, that's when walls get punched. That's when, you know, all of this violence starts to happen. We see it all the time in the news, where a woman breaks up with a man and he responds with acts of violence. When what if he could just go into his bedroom and cry into your brown drink and just let it all out, man? Just, you know, but if you don't, energy is not destroyed, it's only transferred. And so as a woman, you know, I think it's really important that women start to abandon these notions, especially the ones that are saying, my father never cried. But have you talked to him about that? More importantly, have you talked to your mother about that? Because you cannot expect me to be your father. Our relationship is totally different. Your father never cried in front of you because
Time out. I need you to rewind and say that again a little louder for the people in the back.
No, you cannot. Yeah,
you're not her what?
I'm not your father. And I can be paternalistic in my approach, but you have to understand that I am at a great disadvantage, because the love that you have for your father is unconditional. There's nothing. There are people. I'm one of them that sought the love of a father who made it clear he did not want to love you. That's the level of grace we give parents. And so we cannot look for parents in our partner, because they're never going to live up. And it's not the role that you should be playing in your partner's life. And your father probably did cry, just not in front of you, because he had safe spaces within your house where he could hide his emotions from you, so that you didn't, you know, lose faith in his ability to climb mountains and fly and catch bullets with his teeth and all this other stuff, because that's the way we look at our parents, as if they're superhuman. And it scares us as children to see our parents take on these human qualities, because then we start to feel less safe. But if your father cried in the bedroom after you went to bed and you never saw it, and now you're holding me to that same standard, but we share that bedroom, now I have no safe space. And that has to, ladies, you have to start abandoning these archaic ideas of manhood. The only men who hunt are the ones that do on the weekend. You know, I mean, I get it. I get the hunter-gatherer thing. I get it. I really do. But for some of this stuff is damaging, and I'll end there.
So, but just to piggyback on what you said real quick, what if your father was never taught how to release his emotion? So therefore, we go back to the old saying of, Mom, why do you cook the pot roast and you cut off the ends? Because we're doing something traditionally that was passed down that we have no idea why we're doing it. So if you've been taught all your life not to cry, not to show emotions, you can't expect a man that is aware of his emotions not to show them. He can't be your dad. The one reason why he can't be your dad, and Tony said it already, because he's not. I'll land the plane right there.
Just like you want the guys of today to realize that you could get the bag too. Because women have the ability now, they're no longer seen as property because most of these traditions are based on you being property. Oh, the father pays for the bride's wedding. The bride pays for the bride. Why? Because back then she was property. She didn't have no earning rights. She didn't have any earning rights. So it's my investment because you're taking something that's almost valueless. It's costing me to have her in my work because she can't bring in any money. So I'm going to pay for the wedding. So you want to hold on and know that you're freed from that. And yet you want to believe the same damaging old cultural habits that had you suppressed or had you in bondage. You want to still keep that on the guy. I'm just saying, I'm just putting it out there. How you putting that men should not cry type of mentality on a man when you see the freedoms, how far you have come as a woman, the abilities that you can go out there and do. And as I share on the show time and time again, especially women of Latin and African-American descent, Black women, Spanish women, or Spanish-speaking women. They are the fastest growing business owners in America of all races, fastest growing business owners. So they come in with the bag, and yet you're going to look at a guy and say he's less than a man. He can't keep me safe because he's too emotional. He's too emotional. But yet it's perfectly acceptable if his baseball team loses and he's balling like a baby. Is that not true? A man will cry if his sports team lose. Tears will roll. When Mike Tyson lost that first time, tears, people knew to leave the house. People knew to leave the house because I was balling. But I'm seen as less than because I'm crying. No, but it's acceptable. It's acceptable. Mike Tyson lost. He's a huge Mike Tyson fan. That's acceptable. But no, get all soft and sherry all these feelings and emotion. That's no good. That's no good at all. You can't have that. But here's the cool thing about it for guys and women. That simply just says he's not the guy for you and the stage that you're in your life. Now, the guy who's crying, who gets dropped, guess what? You definitely don't want to tie yourself to that because you never want to get into a relationship starting from the negative, trying to be positive. Never want to get in a relationship where you are in the negative and always trying to work yourself in the positive. She want to let you go? Peace. That's a benefit. That's a benefit to you. You want to get in a relationship where you guys are at that level. Both positive. But if you're working in the negative, you don't want to be a part of that relationship. You do not want any parts of that.
So let's flip the question though. Let's flip the question. All right. I think it's just as powerful for a man to accept a woman's vulnerabilities, her sensitivities. I think it's just as powerful for us not to downplay because she's a woman or because she's going through something. These are the reasons why she's sensitive. Oh, you going to Mother Nature is visiting you? That's why you're acting like that. So we're dismissing her emotional feelings because we're pointing it at something that it may not be, right? So I think it's also, because I love this question, I think it's also important that as men, this provides security. He's not going to assume what's wrong with me. He's going to communicate, baby, what's wrong. And I know we always hear you say what's wrong. She goes, I don't know, nothing.
I'm fine.
She's saying nothing is wrong because every time she tells you wrong, you don't hear it because you've dismissed it for so many times. So now she's going, nothing is wrong because I've told you 1,000 times, and it might not be this particular thing right now that's wrong. It's going to be all the other things that has piled up that you didn't listen to. So when a woman goes, nothing, y'all need to stop, put the whole kit and caboodle on pause, and then strip down. Baby, when I try to talk to you, you say nothing. I know you're hurting. I know something is going on. Have you lost trust in me in this area that you can speak to me? That's security. That is security. And what you have to do is shut up and listen. It's hard for a man to shut up and listen. Because like Tony said earlier, we want to fix it. We want to fix it and get on to the next thing. The next thing might not happen for a month. She might need to grieve and process for a month. And you got to walk that out with her. That's security. I'll land it there.
And also that, I'm glad you said that. I've learned that nothing doesn't necessarily mean nothing is wrong. It means nothing you can fix. Nothing I'm ready to share. Nothing because I'm not comfortable with my emotional response to this thing. I think that I'm overreacting. So I don't want to share this with you because I don't want you to share my feelings of, that I'm overreacting. So nothing doesn't necessarily mean that there's nothing wrong. That just may be a preposition for an unfinished sentence. And so the way we build security is by, like Tony Watts said, one, we just listen and not try to fix it. Sometimes just listening to it and empathizing is enough. Because like you said, as men, the first thing I hear when you tell me something is wrong, I go into solution mode. Let me fix this for you. And that way you don't have these emotions anymore. But that's not true, right? And number two, understanding that, your emotional response should not mirror mine. So I am a man who, if I feel tears coming, I don't fight my tears. I don't hide my tears. I don't try to, but when I'm done crying, I'm done. Crying is my response. And then I go right into solution mode. I go right into how do I fix this? So I have my emotional response, then I'm done. I'm not going to cry about it again. Because for me, crying about it over and over again, that has no real value. That's Tony Massey, though. I don't believe in hiding my emotions, but I also don't believe in getting stuck in them, where all I do is now cry, right? I cry and then I dry my tears and then I start going towards a solution. How do I fix this so that I don't have to feel this way anymore? But to hold my wife to that same standard is unfair because she may need a week to grieve, a month to process or whatever. And so I give her the space to have the emotional response that is appropriate for her. We have a little joke where we say we allow each other to feel all the feels, freely. And I don't say things like, all right, you come on now, you didn't cry about this enough. Let's go. No, feel as long as you need to feel. And I'll be right here to support you through this. And I ask, do you want me to start looking for a solution for this? No, it doesn't need to be fixed. Okay, if you change your mind, let me know because I'm more than willing to help out, right? Because I don't think the solution is going to solve it may solve the problem, but it may not necessarily bring emotional resolution to it because that's just not how it works. It's how it works for me, but that's just not how it works. So I'm glad you brought that up. Oh, here, let me pop this up here. This is great. Varushka says, nothing for me means I don't trust you enough with my feelings. Absolutely. Yes. That's a lot of trust, man, because if I start crying right now and y'all like, bro, what's happening? I'm a little overwhelmed. And y'all like, well, man, come on, we're doing a show. What is wrong? You know what I'm saying? Your reaction can be terrifying. You know what I mean? Because now I feel like I have to justify my emotions according to your barometer. And so I'm glad you said that. I don't trust you enough, or I don't trust that you're going to not weaponize my vulnerability. That you're not going to go off and go tell people, man, all she does is cry, man. It's frustrating, bro. Like I can't deal with this. And so now everybody know my business. So great comment. Go ahead, Rick.
I'm just thinking any guy that talks about a woman's emotion, somewhere along the line, he was the asshole. Right? If you say, oh, she's all emotional, somewhere along the line, prior to that, you were the asshole. So my thinking is this. When you're dealing with a situation and she gets to the place in space where she says nothing, don't heap you not getting the answer. Don't add your weight of you not getting the answer and now you feeling hurt. Don't add that to her situation. Don't add that to your situation. Don't add that to her situation.
That's good, man.
It's not about you. It's not about you.
Right. Don't, because then you, why would she ever? Why would she ever? So now you're telling that now she can't even show you the sign of feeling a particular way, because if she's not ready to tell you, you're going to be mad now. What? It ain't about you. The other person isn't you. So let them be. Let them be. You're asking a question. Is anything wrong? Allow them to answer it how they see fit and be accepting of that answer. Boom.
And I'm glad you put up Felix's.
Yeah, I put it back up because I figured you want to talk about it.
That's powerful and that's important because I was guilty of this. Babe, blah 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 blah. Yeah, what? Okay, yeah. Or the game is on, and I'm. When security is when I am showing my emotions, you are 100% invested in what I'm saying. Turn off everything. Turn off phones. Turn off computers. Turn off noises in the background. Be intentional. Lean in. Listen. When you don't understand something, don't interrupt. Get yourself a little pad. I have a question. Write that down. Because there's a flow going on that needs to be expressed. And because we are fix-its, right? What happens is we'll jump in the middle of the conversation when their thought process hasn't finished, right? And we now have turned it somewhere else because our mind says, oh, I hear you saying this. No, that's not what they're saying because they haven't finished their thought process. So also in the security thing, how we can show security and we can be secure with them is give them the opportunity to speak. And I wanted to say this earlier when we were talking about the length of crying or the length of grieving or the length of going through what they go through. It's a tricky situation, right? Because if you're still dealing with the same thing 6 months later, this is deeper than both of us can solve, right? So now we might need a second party to come in. Don't dismiss and say, why are you still holding on to that? As Tony said earlier. I'm reiterating this because it's really important that we don't dismiss the timeliness of the conversation that she's having with you or what she's dealing with, right? To say, why are you still holding on to that? We talked about that 6 months ago. No, some things need a deeper dive that us having a conversation with can't help. You need to see someone else. You need to sit down with somebody and figure out what that deep traumatic thing is that she's still holding on to. So that's another way to have security, to understand I can't fix that. That's security. When a man tells you, honey, I can't fix that. I think we need to go to the outside source and get help. I have your best interest at heart. And I know if I get involved in this any further, we're just going to continue to hurt ourselves. So let's take this to a different level. I'll land my plane there.
So I left Felix's comment up there, Tony, because I think what he's also saying, what he's saying here is that the woman can take some accountability and level set the expectations of the man by saying, I just want you to listen. I don't want you to fix this. So I'm going to share with you, but I want it to be very clear that I'm not asking for a response or a solution. I just want to get this off my chest. And that arms the man with the right intention as they engage in the conversation. Now, if she does that it is extremely important that as men, we fight the natural urge to interrupt, to come up with this. I mean, there's nothing more frustrating when you're trying to tell someone your problem and they're already doing this like this. Yep. I know exactly what's wrong. I got it. You know what? You don't have to finish. Here's what you need to do. You know what I mean? I didn't come here for that.
I'm sorry. Or I went through the same thing.
Oh, yes. That's even worse. Yeah, same thing happened to me. Let me tell you what I did. And that's the difference between sympathy and empathy, right? I don't need to go through what you've gone through I don't want you to feel my pain. What I want you to do is feel that I'm feeling pain. That's it. I don't need you to put yourself in my shoes. I don't need you to walk a mile in my shoes. I just need you to understand that I've been walking a mile in these shoes. That's it. And that's as far as it needs to go. So I do agree that ladies, the cheat code is level set the man's expectations. Let him know this is not one of those I'm waiting for a response, or what do you think? I might even ask those questions. I want you to listen to me. And fellas, I know it's hard to see value in that because we don't have those conversations. We're not going to get together and just share our feelings with each other. If I come to one of these guys and say, hey, I'm feeling this way, I expect them to respond with a solution, or I expect a response. If they just said, hey, I feel you, brother. That's it. What am I going to do, man? Because that's how we roll.
Another thing that will hold a guy's tongue regarding voicing his Mr. Fix-It hat, put on his Mr. Fix-It hat, is to understand that a woman could receive that. Like, you don't think I'm smart enough to handle this?
Yes.
Like
that's good.
You think I'm not smart enough. Right. So you're giving me answers because you don't think that I have the right now. I just want to vent. Want to vent.
They call it.
You're trying to give me answers as if you don't think that I have the ability to handle the situation that I'm in. I'm not. No.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, fellas, if you hear that, just walk away. Abort.
Right. So your mindset is to keep your tongue because you don't want her to come away with the understanding or the feeling that you don't think that I have the ability to take on this situation that I'm going through, that I'm dealing with at work, or dealing with this, or dealing with. You think I don't have? No. So just listen. That's all I want you to do is listen.
Yep. And if I ask you, what do you think? Then be honest. Don't placate me. Don't just, and ladies, if you ask a man what his thoughts are, understand that those thoughts may not align because we handle things differently. I take the direct approach with conflict because I don't want task conflict to move over into personal conflict. So when I have conflict with a man, when he and I speak, and I just had this situation recently, I tried to have a conflict resolution with a woman, and my own misogyny didn't allow me to have the conversation honestly because I was so worried about her feelings. But if I had that same conversation with a man, I would have just went right at him because in my mind, we're talking about what we're talking about and our feelings aren't involved. So that's my own misogyny, and I own that. And so when a woman says to a man, what do you think? Understand that he's coming from a male perspective. And although we're not a monolith, we tend to approach life in a very similar way because, we focus on the task and we don't allow things to get personal as quickly because we don't normally carry our feelings into certain situations, especially when it comes to work. I very rarely allow my feelings to impact my work. I have feelings about my work, but for me, this is business. And at 5 o'clock, I'm out. You know what I mean? So I do want to ask this question before we move on. Can a man who cheats or is abusive, can he ever still provide, not in the midst of it? I think I know the answer to that. But if he's been abusive in the past or if he's cheated in the past, can he ever provide security?
That's a hell of a question, Tony. And I think that question has to be answered by the women. Because a guy can, Okay, so there are two types. There's several types of cheaters, right? You got your serial cheater. He's just can't get out of his system, haven't dealt with why he's doing what he's doing, and he's going to continue doing what he's doing regardless. There's the I'm not going to say emotional cheating. He's in between. He's following his friends. He's kind of a follower. He's doing what his friends do. He ends up in bad situations. He might not physically cheat, but he's emotionally cheating. Then there's the cheater that's more or less, well, she's not paying attention to me, so I need to go out and get what I need to get, right? If there's no level of communication, right, and no sincere apology for what you've done, I think you can never give security that you'll never do it again, because we have to look at the other person's experiences, right? If she came out of a relationship where the last 5 dudes cheated on her, and you know that these guys cheated on her, and you've been A1 stellar person until this moment you cheat on her, now you have robbed yourself of being secure with her again because you have done what everybody else has done. So it's a very complicated question because it really depends on the person and the why the person has cheated. It really depends on that kind of thing, because if I'm cheating because I can't control myself, that's a different story versus I cheated because we didn't communicate for 6 months and now we had the conversation. This is why I did what I did. I'll never do it again. And she trusts that he's not going to do it again. That's different. So I really would leave that question to the women to level set, because they have to figure out where they are, what they've been through, to say if they could ever give somebody that type of security again. Now, if you ask me, Tony, if she cheated on you, could you forgive her and be secure with her again? Yeah, after some counseling and some work, yes, absolutely. Because especially if it's me who drove you to do it, right? If I'm the culprit, right? Because we never take that in accountability. We never look at us as the cause of the cheating, right? Okay, we haven't been like I said earlier. I'm a touch guy. That's my love language. My love language is physical touch. So for the last year and a half, you've given me no physical touch, and there's breezes. There's no real intimacy there, and I go step out. Then I love you, but hey. So we got to really kind of. I think we need to take each one of these steps individually to find out what's going on, because it really depends on what the person is going through and what they're going to allow.
Yeah, Tony Watts, you said the best. It's really up to what the person has been through in their journey, to determine if it's doable, not doable. Certain things like cheating, some things are cultural, and it's so cultural that it's just part of what you do. You deal with it, accept with it, you kind of work things out and you keep it moving. But some are like complete damaging. You cheated on me and never want to deal with that again, never wanted this again, based on what they've been through, what they've seen. So your answer was perfect. Let the woman decide. The woman can really, the only one that gives the best answer for that, being the guy who gets cheated on. Yeah, I think once again, just like the woman, it depends on what you've been through. If I've been through it, and you kind of have the conversation and get back to the place where you're comfortable and you understand that I am the reason why you did what you did. As Tony Watts was saying, I was the reason because I didn't play my part. I didn't do my thing. And then you end up searching for it. And then we come back and say, oh, our communication is better, but this and this and that. Now we can move on. We can move on. But then again, on the same note, me being an entertainer, that whole back and forth stuff is a part of the whole system that I'm used to running around in. So it doesn't leave such a hard mark, but it doesn't stop it from hurting like a bee. It doesn't stop it from hurting like like I can remember when we talked about the conversation earlier about don't give the perception of a situation could be going on. Because I remember I lost a whole relationship just based on what she did that gave the perception of a situation. For the rest of that relationship, I was no good with her. No good. I was absolutely no good with her. Because anytime situations didn't line up to me, jealousy, anger, and Nah, man. Nah. Be mindful. Be mindful of all that. But listen, I'm loving these Love Tucker comments. Are you catching all these?
I am about to go through them. Let's start from here. Verushka says, well, Tony Watts, you said it best. The ladies are the ones that best answer this question, and they are doing that. Verushka says, only financial security. Speaking from my experience, yeah, she ain't gonna never let you live that down. My dad, who cheated and was abusive, but always provided, even now with my stepmom. Love Tucker says, how do you trust someone who betrayed your trust? I don't see it. Lisa Russell says, I personally will not feel any kind of security because the trust is gone. Love Tucker says, how can someone else be the reason who you cheated? It's always a choice, a decision. I'm so hard on this point. And I agree with her 100%. I definitely believe that I can contribute to the desire to cheat. My lack of effort, my lack of me not doing what I'm supposed to do definitely could drive someone to cheat. I'm a firm believer in that. You want to affair proof your relationship, then you play your part. You do what you're supposed to do. And those behaviors should be in direct line with what your partner has said they wanted or needed. And I think a lot of times we don't communicate our wants and needs to our partners definitively. I think I hate this idea that you're just supposed to know. I don't know anything that I have not been told. Just assume my ignorance. If you haven't told me, just assume that I don't know it. Because I don't want to love a woman using life experience as my only training tool. Because I'm going to love her according to the way I've loved others or the way others wanted to be loved. But you're unique. You're a whole person by yourself, and you have unique needs and desires. So not meeting them after I know them definitely will drive you to cheat. But the decision to cheat, that's on me. And so for me, it is virtually impossible for me to rebuild security and trust with someone who has violated something that I feel is so sacred. It's the same thing with abuse. Once you put hands on me, you violate, but that's because of the way, the things that I experienced as a child. That is the ultimate betrayal and the ultimate way of making me feel insecure or unsafe by you putting your hands on me. And I don't care that I'm a man and you're a woman. You are taking advantage of the fact that I would never do that to you. I would never retaliate. And so you are exploiting that. That's the word I was looking for. You're exploiting the fact that I'm not going to retaliate in a physical way. And so for me, I don't feel safe anymore. So I've been in that situation where a woman, and I'm not talking about playing around. I'm talking about out of anger, strike me. We're done. And it isn't because I'm afraid of you. It isn't because I'm not even afraid of me. It's that, to me, I don't feel secure, and you're not taking, especially if I've been honest with you about my past, you've put me in a precarious situations where now my emotions can lead my actions. That's not security. That's not making me feel safe. I've shared with you these very intimate vulnerabilities that I have, and you exploited it. And now you're putting me in a very unsafe place, and I can't deal with you anymore. I'll end there.
Yeah, I think that this is an individual, again, this is an individual space, because like striking Tony will sever the relationship. Disrespecting me continuously will sever the relationship, because that's my thing. Like we can't, if I become your lapdog, then what are we doing, right? I think that, and when I say people, like, because this whole cheating thing, you're right, it's a decision that you make, but sometimes you both are in a place where you try to have communications on all levels, and you don't want to leave but you find yourself in a situation where you have a work wife. You'll hang out, you'll do this, you'll do that, and all of a sudden you just fall into a place where, bang, something happens, or it's emotional that's happening, right? So again, this whole thing is an individual basis thing. It could happen, and what we have to deal with, and what's so key and so important, is that we have to look at, going back to the beginning, the communication and the comprehension of the communication. Because if I told you, this is what bothers me. If I express this to you, and you then continue to do the things that cause me to do something different, then we're at a place that's terrible. And so that's why I say I take the accountability, going, what did I do to make them go do that? Right? And so I have to take the accountability on myself. And that's a hard thing. That's a very hard thing to do. A very hard thing to do. And it took me a while to figure that out when I began to look at relationships of my past and going, so why did that happen? So I'll just be 100% transparent. It's not from a cheating thing. It's just from how my marriage spun out of control. I looked at things that I let go that we spoke about because of my ego said, I ain't got to deal with that. So it didn't piled up into this avalanche of things. Now we cannot stop or control it. So let's always go back to having strong communication and make sure we comprehend what the other person is saying. I think those are the foundational pieces to the security thing. I'll land there.
So last question, and we got about 15 minutes left. And I won't lie, this is a trick question. Can or should a man provide security for a woman he is not in a relationship with? If so, to what extent? If not, why not?
See, there you go with your tricky questions again. All right, because this is a
community.
It's a sticky situation because you can't give the same security you give your mate to your friend. But your friend should be secure enough with you if you'll go out and she gets drunk and somebody's looking at her, that you will make sure she gets home safely and not have to worry about being touched, being mishandled. She doesn't have to worry about things like that. Now, you being her for financial security, that's a whole different thing. You being the fixer-up around her house when her man's not around because her man is out of town now, while you going, I'm going to just have Tone come fix the TV. Like, there's boundaries. I actually just had this conversation. There's boundaries to that type of to that type of thing. Like I have a group of women I call my little sisters. There are lines that I cannot cross. There's things because I look at you in a certain light, in a certain way. So the security your man is supposed to give you, those are not my realms. Those are not my places. Now, as a little sister, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to make sure you get from point A to point B. Those in the poetry community, we do poetry in Brooklyn, right? And 6 of the girls live in the Bronx, and I got to go to Westchester to get home. I'm dropping each of them off at their houses. And they used to always say to me, Tone, why do you drop me off at my house? I said, because if I let you go off down the block and something happens to you between where I dropped you off and your front door, I'm responsible. I'm responsible for that. So I don't want to
grow up with that one.
That's a different type of security. Now, when you walk into the relationship realm of what security is with that friend, you have crossed the line, and that's a whole different ballgame. I'll land there.
Yeah, if I leave and my TV's broken, it better stay broken. I'm just saying. Go ahead, Rick.
No, I think when you talk about we're building a community, that I'm watching the back of the people, the women, I'm understanding society, that I I'm gonna make sure that people are good in my realm of influence, my sphere of influence. If I see, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna step in, I'm gonna speak up, I'm gonna make sure that she's covered, protected. But just like Tony Watts said, nah, like you're my good friend and you got a man, unless I get the approval of the guy, I'm not stepping into your house and helping to fix things up and move things around. I'm just not going to do it. Not going to be able to do. Nah, just like I said, when saying perception. So, but understand that's a mature mind talking right now. Please understand that is the mature Rick Gunter Man. That's the mature Rick talking. You need my help? I'm sure I'm coming over. Oh, how did this happen? Oh, how did that happen? Oh, okay. Sorry. Maturity. There's no benefit in that. Our show is designed to leave the generations behind us in a better place. So let us share. So grab hold of these diamonds, these pearls, these jewels of wisdom that you can start living at a young age, because they will carry you through. They're not like, oh, that's that old Jack. That's that old Jack stuff. No, it falls under the line of this. The older you get, the smarter your parents become. The older you get, the smarter your parents become. It means when you go through enough and you realize that the stuff that your parents were telling you was the truth all the time, but you were just too set in your own ways to want to do what you want to do, then as you get older, you realize that they were warning you. They knew what was up. They were telling you which way to handle that situation, but you didn't want to do it at that time. But now as you get older, so don't look at us and say, oh, these old Jacks, you know what I'm saying? They don't know they don't know what it really is to be out here ripping. No, trust me. You ain't even come closer to ripping and running that some of us have done. Let's just say that. So trust me, we know both sides of it. And we're telling you this way of being is better, much more powerful, much more connected to who you really are as a guy. This is much more in alignment where you're trying to go for the future. That's what we're giving you. That's what we're giving you. So yeah, we know the rip and running part. Yeah, been there, done that, way more than you could ever imagine. But with the wisdom that we know now, we're sharing you that, because that other way will benefit you nothing. Will benefit you nothing. Bragging rights don't mean jack, because most of your friends that you're close to when you're in high school, when you're in college, you ain't gonna be speaking to them anymore after 5 to 10 years. They're no longer gonna be in your circle. They're no longer be, especially if you're someone pursuing something great. They're no longer going to be in your circle. So that their influence, you being in high school, their influence being in college, you're gonna find that didn't mean a damn thing. But you have to deal with the brokenness that you set up. You got to deal with your inability to know how to have a real relationship. You got to suffer the consequences, because now you really want something and you don't even know how to handle it, because you've been mishandling relationships all along. You're going to have to suffer it. Yeah, so you can talk bragging rights, but you still got to suffer the consequences of your inability to know what it takes to have a real relationship. Landing there.
So what we're talking about is boundaries. And I think boundaries are a form of security, and I think it's not just a security for when I create boundaries, I'm creating security for my wife, but I'm also creating security for the women who call me friend, because they know that there are certain lines that I won't cross. There are certain lines I won't even approach, and understand that although you may see it as ridiculous, I drew that line because I know me. And what I mean by that is, Verushka's, and I hope I'm saying your name right, Verushka, but her comment is, what about fixing my car when my man can't fix it? Is that acceptable? And I want to focus on one word that you used there, can't. So now I'm elevating myself above your man, because I can where he can't. And for and as a man, I recognize that gives me favor. Yes, if your man pays me or, you know, he asks me, hey, bruh, I can't fix this. I know you can. Would you knock this out? That's one thing.
Did you
But if
notice
you
my
come-
answer? With your man standing there.
Yeah. But if you come to me and tell me my man and I want you to hear it through this male perspective, okay? My man has a deficiency and cannot meet a need that you can. Will you come and do what I need done where my man cannot? And I know that's a lot of words for fixing a car, but if you have to understand that through the male perspective, that's what we hear. Now, you're looking at 3 men, like you said, who have done the work, 3 mature men. But in my pre-work, not so mature days, what I would hear is, I need you in a way that my man can't satisfy. And if you don't think for 1 second I am going to totally take advantage of that situation, back in the day, I'm gonna talk mad trash. I'm gonna have you. So he don't know how to put on a carburetor. I thought all men knew how to do this. What else can't he do? And now I'm taking advantage of the situation. And so the boundaries that
Where else is he lacking?
where else does he lack? What other needs can I meet that he can't?
Right.
And I know it sounds very childish because it is. It sounds very immature. It is. It sounds very manipulative. It is. But these are the boundaries that we draw so that we don't find ourselves. Mature men don't perform better in sticky situations. Mature men don't get into sticky situations. That's the maturity. We're not better men. We don't handle, difficult situations better. We're smart enough not to even go there because we know who we are. We know that we're men. Not only that, there's a respect thing that we have for one another that I would never do to you what I don't want done to me. And so when it comes to security, I agree, Rick. As a man, every woman within my vicinity, no matter the relationship, should feel safe with me. Should feel, I'm the guy that, if we're walking, you're on the inside. I don't care if you're my mother, my coworker, whatever. That's just how I roll. And it's not a romantic gesture. It's a protective measure that I take because I feel like that's what men should do. But if there are certain things that I cannot do anymore that I had the freedom to do when I was single, for instance, the Tony Watts' example of taking you home. I'm not taking you home. But what I will do is make sure you have an Uber, stay there until he gets there, and then put you in the Uber and tell you, hey, hit the line when you get back. But that's because I'm a married man.
Well,
right?
that's Uber is available now, but back in the days,
it was a cab,
we were
or
dropping
whatever.
them off.
Or
I was Uber.
Huh? Oh, you were Uber back in the day.
I
Yeah.
was Uber.
Yeah.
Before Uber
So, yeah,
came out, I was Uber.
But if I asked my man and it was okay, and it was actually my ex-husband who was married to someone, yeah, I'd go ahead and get a mechanic.
You're stretching right now.
I don't know. No, but here's the thing. Tony Watts made a great point. I can't advise you on what the right thing to do is. The best person to ask is your man. Would he be comfortable with it? Because he knows the nature of your relationship. You know what I'm saying? My ex-wife, who is my son's mother, had Thanksgiving dinner at my family's house. And on the surface, that sounds like, what? But then when you realize that my ex and my current wife know each other and chat with one another, all of the boundaries have been clearly defined. So on the surface, I can look at that and go, ooh, that's trouble. But I don't know the nature of these relationships. And as long as your man knows, I can't imagine if he'll tell you if that's appropriate or if it's not. But you can't. Here's what I'm saying. You don't want to go tell your man what Tony Massey said. You should just let Steve or whoever fix the car. Now your man got a problem with 2 men because we both in your business. Right. Well, I'm go ahead and wrap it up. This is I knew this was going to be a good conversation at the very least, because it's such a great topic. Thank you to everyone who joined us tonight, especially those of you who are joining us for the very first time. Please make sure that this is not your last time. please make sure that you hit the like and you subscribe to our channel. We really want to see you back here because we're going to have some even better content. Share this video with people that you know, people that you think could really benefit from this content. So don't keep it to yourself. Don't hoard this good thing. Go out there and share it. So for me, you can find me at Tony Massey Speaks, Tony Massey Cooks. I have if you have a young man in your life between the ages of 18 and 35, I'm starting a 1-minute mentoring program I'm calling Greetings Young Warrior. Putting it out there on social media, and it's 1 minute going over a topic that I think young men should at least hear a male's perspective from. The first one was past mistakes. I'm doing that every Wednesday. So look for that. If you're following me on social media, you won't miss it because I'm going to try to get them out there every Wednesday. The other thing is I got a really exciting project that is coming down the pike. I'm turning one of my books into a podcast. So stay tuned for that. Follow me on social media so you can stay up on what's happening there. Just had an audition, fellas, and man, it was bananas. I had a lot of people come out, and I think I chose some perfect synergy. So stay tuned for that. Go ahead, Rick. What you got?
Yes. Well, congratulations, T. Massey. I appreciate the things that you're doing behind the scenes to keep growing. That's what it is. Stay in the constant place and spaces that allow you to reach for new passions and to help the world become a better place. Speaking of making the world a better place, on Saturday at 10 a.m., I am one of the speakers, the only male speaker, guest host of the Exhale to X Her Cute. Exhale to X Her Cute. It's a virtual meetup seminar where you get to hear different perspectives about how to come about dealing with relationships, how to grow in business. It's all to help you as a woman to achieve new heights. And I'm the only male voice on the panel, so please come on and join in. You can check the flyer. It's on my social media. Once again, it's right here. Recoving Gunter Jr., Instagram. You can find me on Facebook, but just find me on Instagram, and you can just look for the link and sign up. It's $30. You get a t-shirt, and it's going to be an amazing sharing between women and one guy. So I'm looking forward to it. T. Watts.
Yeah, so this Saturday, I'm closing out the next 2 weeks with the topic or the theme of matriarch. I'm going to have a conversation with 5 women this Saturday. I think that as we men have stepped up to trying to mentor men in a certain way, I want to know what levels women are doing the same thing, and not only becoming the matriarch in your family, but how does that become a role model for these young ladies in the streets that don't have that type of role model? How do you go out and touch them? The reason why I came up with the particular idea was twofold. One was I saw a contest, who can be the baddest bee, and all of these women showed up in these provocative clothing, and their language was really raw. And in my head, I was like, how many of you are mothers? You know, how many of you have brothers and family members who are sitting there going, what are you doing? Like, I think there's, and don't get me wrong, you're free to do whatever you want to do, right? But what you do has impact on those around you, especially if you have sons and daughters. So I think it's very important that at least there's some representation for the women as well. And I just want to get their conversation from that point. On the 28th, I'm going to have a conversation with a woman who is a matriarch in the Bronx. She has been around for a very long time, decades and decades and decades. And she is well known for how she has fostered relationships with the community. The hardest thugs know who she is and respect her for who she is. So we're gonna have a conversation on the following Saturday. So the next 2 series will be about matriarchs.
All right, so a lot of things going on. So make sure you head over to realshoptalk.net. There you'll find all of our information. You'll find links to previous show. You'll find a link to this show as well. realshoptalk.net. So again, we would just want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you for coming out. We really appreciate it. And we will see you next Monday, 8 p.m. on the East, 5 p.m. on the West.
One quick thing. Q, what's up, boy? We see you out there, man. See you popped in, fam. Thank you. We appreciate seeing you.
All right, y'all. Have a good night and have a very blessed week. And we'll see you next week.